this video project, we are going to demonstrate concepts of cognitive development during infancy, the first 2 years of a human's life. In this video, we are focusing on Jean Piaget's theory of child development. Piaget called the cognitive development in the infancy stage the sensory motor stage. In this example, we recorded an infant only 1.5 months old, being held by her parents while they are eating dinner in a large social gathering. Right now, the infant is stimulated by the sound of a group chatting. She is constantly moving, right now almost like counting her fingers. She is also exercising her native reflexes, such as grasping reflex. Upon feeling my finger in her palm, she automatically grasps my finger. It can be seen that this reflex is practiced a lot, as she can grasp my finger tightly. Testing the rooting reflex, I touch the infant's cheek. It can be seen that the reflex is still there, but not as pronounced, as the infant seems to know that it is not time for her meal. Instead, she is busy exploring and gathering all the sensory information around her. The sensory motor period extends from birth to language acquisition. It is called this stage as it is a period in which children are focused on their senses and movement of their bodies. Within the sensory motor period, there are 6 stages. It can be seen that this child is in her second stage, transitioning from the first stage. She is still exercising her reflexes, which are signs of the first stage, but started to go away from acting upon reflex. She is now during the second stage, or the primary circular reaction stage, being repetitive in her movement of her body, such as her mouth, her fingers, her legs, and etc. The infant is continuing taking stimulation, starting to focus on my face. I was forming many faces, sticking out my tongue, making an O face, and she likes to try and copy my expressions and found much interest in the changing human face. She's also repeating the motions she learned, constantly sticking out her tongue. Clear signs of imitation can be seen since 7 days of birth. This infant, already a month and a half, already knows to copy other people's expressions. This also shows that infants are actively seeking stimulation. They need these stimulations to be able to grow cognitively and develop. One can still see the infant being stimulated visually by something else, is continually playing with her fingers. These random-like movements seem to vanish by the next example, where the infants are already past a year old. I then continued and start making winking faces to see if she can also follow. She then actually followed through, trying to wink, and actually doing it. You can see later in this clip of her winking right at the camera. After playing with the infant for a while, the father noticed the infant will focus more on her mouth movements. He, then thinking she wants food, handed the infant to her mother. After handing to the mother, the infant stopped focusing on anything else. The mother naturally plays with the infant, making faces and touching her cheek. This time, the rooting reflex is a lot more evident. The infant enjoys the attention of the mother, especially the stimulation she gives the infant, such as the faces, talking to her, and cuddling her. All these stimulations help the infant to continue to develop cognitively. Studies also show that these actions also help the infant to grow socially and physically too. Our next example will be Julie and Amelia. Julie being 16 months old and Amelia 21 months old.
The next two infants were tested on stage 5 and stage 6 of Piaget's sensory motor period. We tested our first infant's internal representation through the use of object permanence. As you can see, Julie can identify where the ball went, even though she cannot visually see the ball. Object permanence is the child's realization that an object still exists even though the child cannot see said object. Unfortunately, I was only able to get one example of object permanence, because Juliana decided to leave halfway through the experiment. And Amelia preferred a staring contest. This is a result of how selective an infant's brain can be, as their attention is limited and they move from activity to activity frequently. Moving on to tertiary circular reaction, or stage 5 of Piaget's sensory motor period. Tertiary circular reaction is the time where a child experiments with his or her environment. An example of these actions can be a child letting go of something just to see the result multiple times, or simply a child taking apart something and putting it back together. The next two clips show Amelia playing with the height of a balloon, and also Amelia playing with a broom handle. Memory is important for a child's cognitive development. As you see here, it looks like Julie is simply playing with her doll. But as I was talking to Juliana's mother, she says that Juliana does this all the time. Her mother believes she does this because at home she would place Juliana on the bed and lie down next to her whenever she needs a short nap. The action the mother does to Juliana is now repeated with the doll, since the action with the dolls allows her to remember the memories with her mother.
Overall, the differences in the first example and the second example shows the development during infancy. By the time of Julie's and Amelia's age, the infant's motions are more purposeful, with clear intentions of wanting to make something happen. Their physical development also helped the infants to explore more fully, being able to receive more stimulations to the brain. It can be seen through these examples that cognitive development is heavily reliant on the physical growth of the child and his or her social situations.